awesome, full power. Yeah, definitely better in real life than through the live on Facebook. The energy in the room is actually phenomenal.
Would you come back?
Absolutely, I want to have to pick him up. Just sport.
So Liam, you obviously, this went to court, but you didn't actually get a custodial then. You got off what seems quite lightly, and probably because you said that, you know, you were a heavy user of ecstasy.
Yeah. Basically, I got found guilty. There was a few things that the police did that went in my favour.
Like eating the pills?
No, like basically, obviously it had been talked about in all the interviews as ecstasy, but it'd come back as something less than a class A. It'd come back as a substance as a class C.
So you had shit
I had
pills?
shit pills at the time, yeah, which was amazing.
Well, that's a
Cracking.
lifesaver, that's the
but
difference.
I was still looking at 1 to 3 years.
What was it? But was there still MDMA in them?
I don't know, but I just remember I can't remember exactly what they'd come back. I don't think they give you the testing. It's just like they'd come back as a class C, and the judge who was set when it come to the sentencing, he was like, the police have made a major error here, because everywhere it's being mentioned, it's, he said if you're selling paracetamols as ecstasy, you still get charged as ecstasy. Yeah. It's your intent. You're still intending to sell something to somebody. So you can still get done for selling something as ecstasy when it's not ecstasy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. That's what the judge said. He said they made a mistake. You should have still been getting tried for a class A. And anyway, when I got sentenced, my brief was still like, you're probably going to still do a year. So I got rid of all my stuff.
Yeah.
Moved out of my flat.
Getting your head ready for...
Getting ready to go to prison for a year. But I thought, I'll probably, if I get a year, I'll do 3 months or something more. And part of me wanted to go to prison because I was so disillusioned with the world. I just wanted some headspace. It was like the pressure on to earn money, to make my girlfriend happy, to make this person happy, to figure out what to do with my life. And I'd always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know what I wanted to write a book about. It's like, I can go to prison and write a book. And I was like, what if I get bummed though? I might get bummed. I'm not the ugliest of blokes. I might just get like passed around. I was like, fuck. And I thought, I don't know anyone in southern prisons. So
these are the type of things that go through your head though.
All these things are going through my head, when you're waiting to get sentenced. And then he said 150. I did get some amazing references off friends and family and professional people, teachers.
That's the universe, perhaps inadvertently, because they'd made the errors and they were class C and everything else, that it's synchronicity and alignment in your favour again, helping you.
Yeah, totally. Everything always just fell into place, and
still, when you got nicked and you're winking at that girl as you're being dragged into police van, I can't get that image out of my head and just go, don't worry, love.
Be back for you, love.
I'll be back in an hour.
That was the awakening, and all my friends were like, oh, when you get the court case out of the way and you know what's happening, you'll be happier. And I was like, I won't. It's not that. I knew it wasn't that. I was destroyed inside. My soul wanted something else, but by not going to prison, my girlfriend took me to India.
Yeah, and this is a beautiful experience. And the start, you've actually been more than once, haven't you?
I've been loads of times now. Yeah. That's where I did my yoga teacher training. But when I obviously meant to go in 2007 when my mum died. So this is the end of 2011, and my girlfriend goes, if you don't go prison, we'll go to India. She'd been before, so she takes me to India, and it's just mind-bendingly different. And
you discovered beautiful. Yoga then, and that was the start of your spiritual awakening, the shift.
I think the 12 steps was part of the spiritual awakening. I kind of feel like I had few awakenings, like the thing with the Norwegian girlfriend. I got big into the environment and sustainability, the climate and the earth as this mother, and then the spiritual awakening, when you realise them other two things actually were part of your spiritual awakening as well. an element of a spiritual awakening, just an expansion of consciousness, an expansion of awareness in your mind, of seeing different things in different ways than your kind of postage stamp thing where you've been brought up. You know what I mean?
I always like meeting people that made me see things differently. Sometimes I didn't want to. You think, you know, as a human being, you can still have an open mind, but you can think, okay, I've got this bit figured out. I'm right about this. And then somebody says, but what about if you look at it from over here? And I'm like, no way. Never thought about it like that. And I feel my mind expanding. And you can meet people that can do that to you. They can expand your mind. So whenever I meet somebody that makes me see things a little bit differently, that maybe alters my perception or my opinions, that excites me. I like it.
Totally. They're the teachers that we should be like striving toward meeting, or not even. They are teachers. They might be a tramp on the street. They might be your girlfriend's violent stepdad or something. They might have a pearl of wisdom for you that can change the way you view things in a more positive way forever. You know.
I used to say to my mates that I love being wrong, and I was wrong all the time, because every time I was wrong about something, I learned something. If you think, you can have your opinion and think you're right. The second you realise you're wrong, you've just learned something. You've learned that's not right. There's another way. Maybe look at it this way. And so I was wrong all the time. I'm still wrong all the time. You know?
I think that's what India does to you on a massive scale, though, because everything's the opposite way of what you would imagine things to be over here. You know what I mean? It's chaos. It's beautiful.
Works,
it smells. It works and it doesn't work, and you're kind of like searching for this happy medium between the Indian life and the Western life.
They call it, I think, the bobble kind of thing with the head, and you'd meet somebody, an Indian person, and a lot of them, they don't nod or shake their head. It's the same movement. They just do it, and you say, so is it over there? And they go like, I don't understand. Is it over there? And they're like,
They don't like to say no.
No, and initially it's frustrating, and then you realise it's beautiful.
It's really beautiful. It's funny as well.
So you've been to India, and then that must have sort of whet your taste buds, and you're off. You're travelling then. You decide.
Well, actually, I come back from India. I'm still in the depression. I moved back to Manchester to do me community service. Because I wanted to get away from. I hated London. I never liked London. Just energy vampire of a place. But I didn't know how to get out. Community service was horrible for 3 sessions, and then they moved me into a charity shop. They went, "You're all right." These kids who are 25 burning the seats that have got 50 hours community service that have now incurred 500 because they've not turned up because they're just useless human beings. And you're like, what, you had 50 hours and now you've got 500. Wow. I was like, I'm going to treat this as a full-time job. I'm going to do as many hours as I can do every week, then it's gone. I can crack on with my life rather than, I'm going to fit it in here and there. And I was like, nah. Sleep at my dad's, bosh it out. I ended up working in this charity shop. It was amazing, like just making brews, setting stuff up.
Not painting fences or picking rubbish up then.
Nothing. I did it for free. I did that for 3 days, and they knew I was like a decent person, so they just put me in the charity shop.
Is it at this time that you then go travelling?
No, so it's like the end of 2012 I go travelling. So I moved back. I end up moving back in with my stepdad and my sister, which is like, never thought I'd ever do that. Like moving to, it's like what would call as my mum's house, you know what I mean? But my mum was dead. But then at the same time, my friend Catherine that I'd grew up with had moved back in with her mum and dad, which was facing my house. And she'd been having a lot of drugs and drink problems, and she'd started seeing angels and demons, I think, thinking she's lost the plot, you know what I mean? I've done the 12 steps, but only up to step 10, so I've still not surrendered to having a spiritual awakening. I'm like, I don't need any of that bullshit. I don't need to be calling people, you know what I mean? It's got me out of prison, feel a bit better, I'm being nicer to people, I'm getting me mates Mrs. flowers when I go around for something to eat, being a nicer person, you know what I mean? Don't want any of that spiritual awakening shit. Nah, not for me. Anyway, Catherine starts going on this journey, so then I start spending more time with her because we're good mates. She's doing little card readings, we're going to little healing things, and it starts creeping in, and then I start to realise I am having a spiritual awakening, and I'm going through all this trauma. I'm still depressed, I'm still not enjoying things, I'm still suicidal occasionally, but I'm opening up more to a more spiritual life. We're going to meditation groups, we're going to healings, we're going to workshops, you know what I mean? And I'm like committing to it. I'm like going to mind, body and spirit little festivals and stuff, and it just starts happening. And then by the end of 2012, I meet this woman at a workshop. She's got a guided meditation advanced in Gatley, which is the little village that I lived in. I'm like, how the fuck's Gatley got a advanced spiritual meditation group, you know what I mean? She said, I'm going to Guatemala for the end of the Mayan calendar with a pilgrimage group. Would you like to join us? And I just started reading about this end of the Mayan calendar stuff and having a spiritual awakening and all these prophecies and ancient civilizations that are all focusing on this point at this end of this calendar to start this new age. I was like, yeah, I'm going to come. I had no money. I was on the dole. Like, I didn't know how I was going to make it happen. And then I went to do my level 1 healing course. And at that moment afterwards, I was at the bus stop with Catherine, my friend. And I was like, right, I'm coming off the dole, coming off all benefits. And I'm just going to work my ass off to make the money to go there. Then I realised that Earth ships have got... I've always wanted to go and do my Earthship thing. I've gone for this psychic reading. The psychic said, your grandma say you need to go and book the thing that you've been putting off booking. So go home that night, book the Earthship Academy. Realise that the Earthship have got a build in Guatemala just after I finish the pilgrimage. So I can do the pilgrimage, go and do the build in Guatemala, then travel overground through Mexico into the States and go and do my Earthship building academy.
Alignment, synchronicity, constantly.
It was just crazy. So then I end up in Guatemala for the end of the Mayan calendar. 12 months after having a spiritual awakening, I was like, perfect timing. I've just gone and done drugs all my life. And I'm like, no, I'm ready. I only have to do a year. Perfect.
Reverend Michael Beckwith says the universe will correspond to the nature of your song. So whatever you're feeling, when you start with spiritual awakening, you're experiencing joy and bliss, this spiritual community, your spiritual family just starts to appear out of nowhere. And then these experiences, you get the opportunities and it all starts to fall into place.
Yeah, it's just... And actually on the trip, the amount of things that fell into place, it was like I was in Harry Potter or something, you know what I mean? I was just like, whoa, it was just bending my mind all the time. It's so beautiful.
I like you described yourself as a hippie energy healer and a veggie now at this stage. Yeah. So you'd arrived.
Yeah, I think so. Like that's how kind of 12 months before, or a couple of years before, being a lager drinking, xenophobic,
football hooligan,
sexist, mildly racist, just
womanising,
just a consequence of my surroundings.
Keep doing this is fun.
Yeah, totally.
Womanising,
xenophobic, just everything, all the isms, you know. But that was just a consequence of my growing up. That was. You know, and there's still friends of mine who are still like that, but they've never grown. So I can't think bad and look bad at them because they're just the consequence of the surroundings, the consequence of their environment. And until they break free of that, that's all they're ever going to be.
But it's the choices you make. And at any point, you can stop. Just stop what you're doing, reassess, and start to make better choices. And I say in the book, the quote, a successful life is simply this. It's one good decision followed by another. The second you make 2 consecutive good decisions, you're moving, you've changed direction, you've gained momentum. But it's difficult, you know, and some people, I know people like this, nothing changes, they don't get where they want to go, and they start to feel like they're trapped and they're a victim. And then they think, okay, this is it, this is my lot, nothing's ever going to change. And that's usually when they start to hit the drink really hard, you know, when you give up.
Yeah,
you know.
But they give up, but because they've not been willing to give anything up, it's like I'm so attached to this lifestyle. I'm so attached to these things.
I'm just scared of losing.
Yeah, the amount of people who've said to me, "Oh, Lee, I'm seeing your pictures like South America, when you're in Australia, when you're in India. It looks amazing. I'd love to do that, but I don't know. I've not got the money." I'm like, "You've got a 300 grand house."
Yeah.
I didn't have a bean to my name when I went. You could just sell your house and actually go travelling for the rest of your life if you wanted to.
That's attachment for you, isn't it? Fear of
Totally,
change
yeah.
and attachment, you know, and you become settled and you become cemented in your comfort zone. And once you can't get outside of that, not much is going to change.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, it's scary coming back. I've come back to nothing so many times, and you're like, oh, what am I going
Yeah.
to do, boy? It's like,
I've
it's a
been
good basis.
in bed sits. I'm either usually wealthy or I have nothing and I'm in a bed sit, and that's happened on
As long as you're happy in
several
both states,
occasions
it's fine,
in my
innit?
life, you know. Yeah. Maybe tell people what an earthship is, because I had to ask you, I didn't know.
So I guess the easiest reference for a lot of people is there was one on Grand Designs, and it's the ones that they build the structural walls out of tyres. They pound earth into the tyres.
Yeah.
But Earthship is like it's by an architect called Michael Reynolds. He's got a film called The Garbage Warrior, which was the thing that got me into it. I saw it on Channel 4.
Yeah.
And he's just been building buildings from recyclable materials,
Yeah.
but using physics, the natural phenomenon of the earth. So the tyres work as big batteries that they get earth filled over the top of them as well. So you almost got like a hill that's created. So you go 50 centimetres below the ground, the temperature's always 18 wherever you are in the world. If you've got soil, you go 50 centimetres down, it's 18. So he's using that phenomenon. So, and the south facing, glazed at the front, so at an angle that maximises the winter sun.
Yeah.
So it works like a greenhouse. So it heats up in the day. The tyres, so this is in Taos in New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's like in the winter, minus 30, you know, something like that. They get quite a lot of sun, but it's minus 30 and it'll be, you know, really cold in the evening.
Yeah.
So it gets the daylight sun. These tyres work as a battery. The heat obviously attracts to the cold, so it goes into the tyres. The tyres then heat up during the day. And then obviously when it goes cooler at night, this space, the living space, gets cool. So how physics works, the heat goes into the cold, and then it heats the space to 18 degrees. If there's a discrepancy, it will pull heat out of the earth into the building. Yeah, so that building is always 18.
Because it's the bigger object, isn't it? The earth's going to heat that space before the space is going to heat the earth.
Exactly. So it's just like it's just a beautiful philosophy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went and worked with them, built them, pounded a lot of tyres.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ayahuasca had been on my mind for quite a while.
Yeah.
Especially 12 months in the spiritual circles, you hear about it a lot.
I had to give it a lot of thought before I did it, weighed it up before I decided it was what I needed to do. And a lot of people that do it, like I did, you're not doing it for recreational pursuits. I was doing it because I was desperate. The drugs didn't work, the recreational drugs. The pharmaceuticals didn't work. I was desperately unhappy. And I'd been suicidal. And ayahuasca, I thought, it's worth a go.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to somehow piece together the bits of my life. Like, I was doing so many different things, and I didn't feel like they came together. I didn't know what my path was, what my purpose was, and I was really depressed and suicidal, and I wanted to feel some joy. And ayahuasca went to town on me, you know. I thought I'd died at one point. I thought I'd made my whole life up. I thought I'd became insane. I thought I was in a straitjacket in a mental institute, and all my friends were going, if it was going to be somebody, it'd be Liam that'd lose his mind and end up like that. It was always going to be Liam. It was always, so everyone was laughing at me. And it was a horrific, horrible, nightmare. But now it's like anything that throws at me in life, it's like, oh, really?
There's nowhere to hide. You got to face your fears, haven't you? And I remember, I thought I had nothing left to lose. I have nothing left to lose. So I went and did it. It was very traumatic. And there's moments where you just sit up for a minute and I think there was about 8 of us sat round. People are screaming, crying, vomiting. It's all going off. You're looking around and you think, what am I doing? What have I done? And then shortly after, I'm one of the people screaming and crying and shitting and throwing up. But at the other side of it, you realise then the fear lifted. And then I started to think there was nothing I couldn't do because I wasn't worried about the consequences or what other people thought. I'd figured a lot of stuff out up to this point through meditation, but this was a pivotal moment in my journey, you know, and it definitely,
So, I mean, it gives you such an extreme experience and extreme pain and discomfort and just disgustingness in some aspects that then you come back and you're like, oh right, yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem. That's easy. That's nothing to be scared of. It does give you that fearlessness. And it did mess me up for quite a while after it.
It takes a while to process, doesn't it? So much goes on, and it took me months to like get my head around everything.
That's what I mean. It finally sinks into place, and it was mad. Like that whole experience was magical for me. It really allowed me to step into my creative side, the music, writing, teaching yoga, like becoming myself and owning myself really, rather than just sort of performing for people all the time.
So you've done ayahuasca, and like with me, I'd done ayahuasca, and then lots of things started to happen. And with you, you'd done your ayahuasca.
It's a little spider.
I just saw that. Yeah, I didn't know if it was a spider or a sugar stealer.
I thought that's what it was at first, but it's
I can just go on a camera leg or something. Yeah,
there we go.
Spiders are our friends.
Sorry, brother.
Sorry, it's good. If I see a spider somewhere and it's, at home, I just leave it be. They don't trouble me at all. Spiders.
Getting rid of flies. It's all good.
Exactly. So you've done the ayahuasca, and then lots of things start to happen. We're going to talk about some of those now. So this is your more recent journey. Mm-hmm. The stuff you're here to talk about, really, we've not even started. What we're talking about, poetry and making music and teaching yoga and writing a book. So there's lots happened. Ayahuasca was probably the catalyst, and then woof, and then lots happened, didn't it?
Yeah, totally.
So you moved back to Manchester then?
So I started writing like a blog while I was travelling. And then it was just like I started just writing loads and loads, and I was like, "Where's this coming from?" And I was writing poetry, I was writing songs, and I didn't know where it was coming from. It had never been part of my life before, and it wasn't like I was trying. It was just what was coming out of me. And then I'd got back from Peru and doing ayahuasca, and people were I was telling them stories. They're like, "Oh, you should write a book. You should write a book," and it kept coming up, and I was like, oh, who am I to write a book? I've got a fucking D in English, you know what I mean? I can't write a book. And then I remember I ended up in hospital. I was really sick. Still, they never figured out what it was, but all my balance went off. Wasn't long after I'd come back, but it felt like when I was walking, someone was smashing my heels with a sledgehammer. It was going all the way up into my head. I couldn't walk. I was just having to lie down. So anyway, I ended up in hospital, and they opened this magazine, and it's just like an article by a writer, how you get a book written.
Yeah.
Just like the synchronicity of, I'm just like, all right. And then I just was like, right, I'm writing a book now. Whatever it takes, I'm writing a book. And that was just like my focus for probably 18 months to get this book written. Moved back to Manchester, ended up living with a mate who's now in prison for like a long time. Wow. I had that opportunity to get back into the drugs world with good opportunities, financially rewarding opportunities, obviously with consequences. It was like, he was an ex-Marine and living with this. I was now a hippie. I was meditating all the time. You know what I mean? Our friends thought it was hilarious that we were living together. But he took me in. I didn't have anywhere to live at the time. He's a beautiful, beautiful human. Yeah. Really lovely, lovely man. Just still got caught up in this world that we're part of, that I resisted the urge to get caught up in again. At that point,
you started making some better choices, aren't you?
Exactly. Yeah. And not being like, oh, but have that money there and I'll be able to buy that and I can go there. It's like, no, it's not part of my path anymore. My path is about honesty, truthfulness, and doing something that's positive.
So your book is called Dealer to Healer. Tell us the full title.
Dealer to Healer, a modern tale of a fucked up male.
And if somebody wanted to read this book, they can buy it on Amazon.
You can get it on Amazon, yeah. Or give me a shout if you want a signed copy. I can send you one.
Is it paperback and Kindle?
Paperback and Kindle. The audiobook's going to be ready in the next sort of month.
Right, awesome.
I've just got to say the end and send it to my editor. Just didn't say the end. He was like, I was like, how much are you going to pay me for that? He went, I'm not going to pay you for that.
Yeah.
Charge you.
Written and read by Liam Browne.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the audiobook will be... I love listening to audiobooks, especially if it's read by the author, written and narrated by the author themselves. And so you get to hear their voice and their expression talking about their life. And it really works for me, that. So,
See how it goes. I'd never done it before. So I was like, I feel like it got better as it progressed, you know, like 5-6 chapters in.
Yeah.
I think it got better, but I'd never do it again the way I did it. It was horrific. It was just like, it took over my life. I was just like, I couldn't relax.
Same.
I needed to get it done.
Same. And
Like
it's coming through you all the time. You can't switch it off.
Yeah,
and it's constant. I had to have a dictaphone and completely consumed by it while it was happening. And it was exhausting, and I was glad when I'd finished, you know. But your book's it's had a lot of 5-star reviews, and it's been number 1 in its category on Amazon, but same as mine, I'm assuming a similar category.
I think it was number 1 in death and bereavement and number 1 in self-help for a bit, something like that. Yeah.
So it's been a success, and obviously it's helping people, so that's brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing for me, was that if it just inspired one person, I'd be happy.
I always said that with the book. If it helped one person, then it's done its job.
Totally, but it seems to be inspiring lots and lots of people. Every time I'm somewhere, somebody tells me that they've read my book, or a few people do, and I'm just like, you know, or people saying it's inspired me to do this, to take positive action with this. It's made me realise my life's not that bad. You know, it's made me want to go travelling. It's given me a kick up the arse. I'm like, yeah, man, that's super, super humbling, which is beautiful.
If you do something and you inspire other people to make good choices and do positive things in their life, then that's real success. It's not monetary. It's helping others.
That's what I mean. It's upset people. These people who've fallen out with me about the book because I've been honest in it. I don't really care.
No,
it's like it's the truth. If I was lying and like, it's fine, but it is what it is. That's the book. That's the piece of work for me. That's the art. Like, there's even people who've just read a chapter and fall out with me. I'm like, would you just look in the left-hand corner of the Mona Lisa and go, that's shit and offensive? Do you know what I mean? Without seeing the whole of the picture.
Yeah.
I said, you need to read the whole thing. I said, because then it shows you that I've gone on a process and I've healed and forgiven and took responsibility for the stuff that's happened between us.
So did you write the book before you started writing poetry, or had you always written poetry?
No, I think I think it all sort of came at the same time. I started going out with this girl, she's actually English. She's from the Isle of Wight, actually, so still free holidays. Class them as free holidays. Yeah. And I think I just had this, because I was trying to make positive change in my life and not cheat and stuff anymore. I'd made a real effort to become truthful. You know what I mean? Through the 12 steps, I wanted to be honest. I wanted to be, because she'd been put off me by a lot of people, and I didn't want all that to come true. And I was just infatuated with her in a good way, not like weird shit, you know what I mean? But I just wrote all this this poetry was pouring out of me about her, about life, about things. And then obviously as I went into the spiritual thing, more stuff was coming out of me. Yeah. And then music was coming out of me. And when I got back to Manchester, all these poems, so many of them seemed like songs. And I was like, but who am I to, like, I can't sing. I was into music, but I'm not in the music world, you know what I mean? I'm not a musician. How does it happen? But then I just thought, do you know what? Through ayahuasca, I'm just going to meditate on what I want. I want somebody to come into my world that can help me turn my songs, my poems, into actual songs that I can sing.
Yeah.
And meditated on it all the time for maybe like a year. Eventually someone comes to one of my ceremonies. I've got a studio at my house. Do you want to come and I've heard you've got a couple of songs. Do you want to come and have a play around in the studio? Bosh. A year later, we just got 10 grand in funding and made an album.
Wow. I've seen one of your videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
What's the name of that song? It's where you talk like the streets, that kind of thing.
Oh, Juice Girl.
That's it.
She works in a cafe. She's got a knack for juicing. First time I saw her, it's like, your smile seduced me. Thought you looked cool and your tattoos were a beauty.
There you go. That song, actually, we're going to play it now.
You worked in a cafe, you had a knack for juicing. First time I saw you, it was like your smile seduced me. Thought you looked cool and your tattoos were a beauty, but that was all and we never got to talk. A year later I came back, you were still in my memory. Couldn't believe you were still juicing love balls. I sat with my friend and drank my chai latte, daydreaming about being with you at a party. Nervously I tried to start a conversation, asking you what you did with the bits that didn't go into the juice. You said they went into the bin, but you showed that something could be done with them. I thought, thank God, sure she cares about them too.
She wasn't mine yet, but I thought that she could be. She wasn't mine yet, but I wanted her to be. She wasn't mine yet, was she with someone else? She wasn't mine yet, I just wanted us to dance.
Came in to look at you a few times. You never seemed far from my mind. I imagine being with you and all the cool things we could do. But did you like me and would you remember me from before? So many people go in and out that door. Would it make an impression? I wasn't sure. I spoke to your boss one day, asking if her mum worked in a certain shop. She said no, and I was no closer to knowing you. The next thing I know, I'm sat on my computer signed up to this cacao ceremony. You knew she'd come across my screen, only your boss, and I thought, sweet, I can ask her all about you. The night that we'd meet her drew closer. Would I have the nerve to approach her? I wasn't sure, but I knew that this was my moment. But then you walked in the door, your smile glued on me so potent. I said, it's so nice to meet you in the real world and not in your cap. You said it was and you were looking forward to getting to know me. I thought, wow, getting to know me, I just melt. Right then and there, I just melt.
She wasn't mine yet, but I thought that she could be. She wasn't mine yet, but I wanted her to be. She wasn't mine yet, was she with someone else? She wasn't mine yet, I just wanted us to dance.
She tells me that her name is Lauren. We have a hug and I'm feeling Lauren. It feels nice and I sort of clumsily hug her twice. We end up in a room with 27 other people. One of my favourite numbers, but what number am I? 4, 5, 6 hours past and my heart beats so fast. I want to know all that you do and bits about your past and just sit with you and laugh. Throughout the ceremony my energy is on you. I try and focus but I can't, and from time to time I catch your passing glance. We end up leaving at around the same time. I try and make it not obvious that you're the only thing on my mind. You're hovering around in the car park. I like your car and ask you if you'd take me out in that. You say yes and I guess that is that. I tell you about my VW camper. You say don't tell me anymore, I'll fall in love with you on the spot. I think, well, why don't you? That'd be good. The next thing I know, we're out in the country, walking down a canal and I'm thinking, how did this all work out? How did this all work out?
She isn't mine yet, there's a good chance she will be. She isn't mine yet, but it's looking quite likely. She isn't mine yet, she'll get rid of someone else. She isn't mine yet, and we just started to dance. She isn't mine yet, there's a good chance she will be. She isn't mine yet, but it's looking quite likely. She isn't mine yet, she'll get rid of someone else. She isn't mine yet, and we just started to dance.
Just go. Just go. Just go. Juicy, juicy girl.
Is that how you know Jenny Berry? Poetry.
Through poetry?
Yes.
No.
It's because she's a poet and she's been a poet for years and she's worked in prisons and stuff as well.
No, I'd never heard of Jenny until... So I've been doing my cacao ceremonies pretty much since I went to Guatemala in 2012 and worked with a shaman there with cacao. I'd never even knew it was a plant medicine before. 100% cacao is like non-bastardized chocolate.
So
it's with all its nutrients, all its goodness, all its chemicals, all the dopamine, like all its anandamide, all the theobroma, like everything that's good for you that makes it a superfood is in cacao. Every time it gets processed, it comes into chocolate. So if you get a piece of chocolate in the shop that's 87% cocoa or something, it's not. It's already been bastardized by 50%, so it's 87% of 50% of cacao. And cacao is a plant medicine.
I've had green and black's chocolate, and it's a high percentage cacao, really dark chocolate, but still that's nothing like.
No, it's it's been used for thousands and thousands of years, and in mainly in Mesoamerica, like. The Mayans, the Incas, the Aztecs used it as in ceremony, but also as like we use in the West coffee. They use it because it doesn't have the ups and downs of coffee. It's kind of like more of a mellow ride. You know what I mean? And it's the love chemical. You know what I mean? That's why the whole world's addicted to chocolate. That's why it's seen as this romantic, sexual kind of food. You know what I mean? It's connected to romance and love. It's all about the heart chakra. It's all about opening the heart chakra, cacao.
I'm going to come and do this with you in the not too distant future. Yeah, so I'm excited about that.
You're going to love it, bro. It's amazing. But yeah, Jenny, one of my students was friends with Jenny, and Jenny came to my ceremony and loved it. And she'd sent me an email actually because she wants me to do a ceremony with her and her husband, because I do little couples ones, or I do one-to-ones with other people. And it just allows, for the couples one, it just allows a deeper connection for you to connect more energetically, for you to free up stuff that maybe has been bothering you and agitating each other for a little while. We try and get rid of that, or we discuss it and we bring love into the situation. How can we discuss this with an open-hearted love sensation coming through us? And then they'll go and have an amazing sex afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, I'll leave them to that. I'll be gone by then. But Jenny Berry, when she emailed me, I was like, Jenny Berry, what a top name, Jenny Berry. I was like, Jenny Berry, that's a great name.
So, as a shaman, are you going down that path? You know, because you're doing these ceremonies. Are you going to train as a shaman, do you think? Is it something you've thought about?
I don't know. I want to do a lot more training with my yoga.
Yeah.
Not that, just to deepen my own knowledge, and to have more congruency with my students. You know what I mean? Just have more depth to what I'm talking, what I'm teaching, because the Yoga-Rave thing is just getting bigger and bigger all the time.
Yeah.
As for the plant medicine work, maybe I'm just gonna see what happens. Like, even just calling myself a medicine man, I've never done that, but one of my shaman teachers was like, you're a medicine man. I was like, what? What? And then I was like, well, I am, aren't I? Because I'm serving people plant medicine. I'm holding space for big groups of people. I'm instigating healing, like, through another channel. Like, the cacao's coming into the space and doing its work, but I'm been given that facilitation role. You know what I mean? And these people are coming and having amazing experiences through the cacao and the space that I'm holding. So yeah, I'm a medicine man, and I've got to try and own that. It just sounds ridiculous. Like, you know what I mean?
You'll know yourself. The first time somebody asks you to sign a book, you feel ridiculous, don't you? I did. I felt, ooh. And then now I don't bat an eyelid, and it happens quite a lot. And yeah, it's getting over your own insecurities or your own ego or thinking you're not worthy or whatever, and just letting it flow.
Yeah, it's because we're so attached to this upbringing that we've had. Like, I'm like, how can a kid from Wythenshawe, like from South Manchester, from a working class background, become a medicine man? But then I'm forgetting that I've lived many, many lifetimes, like, and just been training in many, many lifetimes for this incarnation at this time. Like, so many people on the planet at the moment, because 2012 is such a pivotal thing. You go to indigenous communities and ceremonies, and they're going, all our ancestors always talked about this date. We're the lucky ones to be alive now, because monumental changes and shifts in consciousness of humanity is going to take place during our lifetime. And we're seeing it all the time. Sometimes we see it as negative, but everything's leading to a positive. So we just got to embrace it.
That's a lovely outlook to have. Yeah. I definitely think there's massive changes in human consciousness, and where it's heading, I hope it's heading in the right direction. I think it is, and I think we had a chat before the show, and wisely you said that there's going to be, the darkness. We're going to experience these things, but they're all going to take us in the right direction eventually, So that made me feel a bit better.
Yeah, and it's like our own shadow side, like we've both had, has led us to this place. So it's like, we can't poo-poo the dark and slag it off and slate people. We've just got to
It's part of the journey, isn't it?
It's rocket fuel. Yeah. It's rocket fuel to get you there quicker, because if you just, like, in that perpetual, this is okay, it's like, boom, this is fucking horrific. Right, we've got to change. You know what I mean? Rather than, baby step, baby step. It's like my yoga classes, like the Yoga-Rave, man. I say to people, I want you to transform today. I want you to make positive transformation this week. I don't want you to come to a 6-week yoga class and you might feel a little better. You might speak in a calm voice. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no, let's fucking get on with it.
No.
Yes.
No,
now,
right now,
because you might
this
die
moment.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
and you think, "Fuck, I didn't do that." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Just going back to your journey with your band, what's your band called again?
Browne and the Love.
Browne and the Love. And you actually gigged a lot, and
Yeah.
you did an album, is that
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
What was the album called?
The album was called Forget and Remember,
Right.
which was what the book was gonna be called at first. It was
Yeah.
it was basically gonna be a soundtrack for the book, but then the book took years for me to get my arse in gear to publish it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were gigging around the north of England. First track we ever put on BBC Six Music got played. We got quite a bit of radio play.
Yeah.
But we didn't it didn't get to where I wanted it to get to, or where I had a dream of it getting to. But it was just an amazing experience. It was amazing to play, be on stage. And I didn't have a singing voice. I learned how to sing. I went to singing lessons for months. And people probably say, you still can't sing. I'm not asked. I'm 10 times better than what I was at singing.
Yeah.
I sounded horrific on them early recordings, and just learn it.
You seem like, in a lot of ways, you're like me, where I'll have an idea and then it'll come into fruition and I'll get excited about it, be passionate about it. I'll take it so far and I get to a point and I think, I've done that now. And then I'll go this way and somebody says, why are you not doing that? Because, you've been relatively successful and potentially could do something with that. And I say, no, I'm doing this now. And I'm always, whatever I'm feeling in that moment, then I pursue that. And I usually take it to a certain point where when I stop deriving pleasure and joy from something, then that's usually the wind out my sails and I'm onto something else.
And I think that's what it was with the acting. People are going, "Oh, you're going to do some more acting?" I was like, "It's not a case of that." I said, "I've got to get an agent, which I can't be arsed doing, and then I've got to start going to auditions, which I don't like auditions." I went, "If somebody comes to me in a few years and and all that time, I'm creating some sort of level of angst because I'm going to go for this, but it might be a waste of time, and it's splitting up my day from." Like at the moment, I'm doing ceremonies, I'm teaching yoga, I'm having a really positive impact on a vast amount of people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to do that through acting. That's not my path. But in a few years, if someone says, "Oh, Liam, there's a little part here for you," I think you'd be cracking at it. Do you want to do it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I ain't auditioning.
No. You're letting it flow, aren't
Exactly,
you?
man.
You're letting
exactly.
it flow. One thing, you didn't tell us the name of your second film. The one that went to Tribeca.
Lotus Eaters.
Because you actually mentioned Lotus when we were talking earlier. You referenced Lotus.
Flower,
Yeah.
Yeah. Lotus Eater sounds bad. I don't know what the Lotus Eaters is. I can't remember what a Lotus Eater is. But yeah, it's something that eats beauty.
In 2017 then, with your notes, that's when you went back to India and that's when you did your yoga training.
Yeah.
So at this point, reading your story, you'd think that, okay, you're on a spiritual journey, you're starting to heal, you're starting to feel a lot better. But then come 2018, you had another breakdown or another, a period of...
Yeah, but I see it as another awakening, as another kick up the arse of another, getting me back on my path properly. Because this book had not been released, been sat on my laptop. It had a couple of little edits, little revisions and stuff, but it was nothing happening. I'd sent it off to publishers. I got offered a couple of deals that weren't suitable. No. I didn't want to hand over all the rights to everything.
Yeah.
You
didn't want to get a check every 12 months.
Exactly.
If
and
you're
I was
lucky,
just like...
And they take half of that.
Well, more. Yeah. You end up with 20p a book or something. And I was just like... Nothing sat right. And then I was in France that summer and I was just like, right, I've got to self-publish. I don't know how to do it. I was scared of self-publishing because I was like, it sounds like loads of work. And then, boom, Google self-publishing, 46 steps to self-publish your book. Bosh, right, let's crack on. A lot of work, got my head down for 6 months, didn't stop creating covers, getting it edited, getting it proofread, getting everything boxed off, learning how to format stuff, learning about websites like Upwork where you can get stuff done that I was getting quoted $3,500 for that cost me 350 quid on Upwork, and the standard was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, how can I create this through my means? You know what I mean? And it was a beautiful, beautiful experience. I've made some amazing connections of designers, graphic designers, artists all over the world. It's been amazing, and I own it.
Yeah, that's a big thing, was a big thing for me. And like you, I just threw myself in at the deep end and I just had to figure it out as I went along. And I made some mistakes along the way and did things that I now know there's better ways of doing them. But you learn quick, don't you?
Totally.
You know, throw somebody in the water and just sink or swim, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know, so.
But it's just taking that first leap of like, right, I'm going to do this. Even if I fall on my arse and look like a dick, I'm going to do this. And you have that thing in your head, who am I to be a writer? What have I ever written? Do you know what I mean? What that sort of negative chat, like, who do you think you are? You're just from a council estate. You can't write a book. Like, everyone's going to laugh at you. Everyone's going to think it's ridiculous. You're talking about God. Everyone's going to, all your mates are going to fucking start throwing shit at you. I'm just like, boom, get rid of that.
Yeah. Those are just negative thoughts.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing with a book as well, when you've written a book, you can't unwrite it. Once it's out there, it's out there. And once I'd made the decision that I was just going to say it like it was and talk about things that I'd been advised not to talk about, which included steroids, drugs, violence, there's a big list of things. And
dog shit.
Yeah. That's not in the book. But people said that, you know, you don't do that. You don't want to tell everybody that this happened or that happened. And I went, no, actually I do. I feel at peace by...
But it makes it easy for other people to relate to it.
Well, but I would say this as well about being a pioneer. There's lots of people that experience things and want to talk about things and they're frightened and they're worried about what people think. When you said, you know what, I've had mental health problems, shit ain't working out so good. I used to take drugs because I couldn't cope. I was violent. I did things that I'm not proud of and all this. And somebody else goes, oh, right, well, I did too. I'm not the only one. And then you start to open a conversation, an interaction, and it gets people talking, you know, and that's really healthy, I say in the book. You can't learn anything if you don't talk about everything. Until you have an open and honest conversation and have all the information, all the facts, and you share that, how can you learn anything? How can somebody else benefit from that? You've got to say it like it is, and it's frightening at first because you know you've got lots. I had lots of insecurities. And,
totally, yeah. Well, because you're just bringing on ridicule. Like it will come, but ridicule is the tribute paid by the mediocrities to the genius. That's an Oscar Wilde quote.
Oh, that's a nice quote.
That's an amazing quote. I just repeat that all the time. Like I've had hate mail since lockdown. I've had this and that, and I'm like, fucking come on. Why are you fueling me, you idiots? I'm going to get bigger and bigger. Like, I'm going to get prouder and prouder of owning my own shit. If I am not doing what I'm supposed to be doing, like, there won't be people that are upset. If I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, there'll be people upset along the way. But that's their own hatred. When I get a piece of hate mail, I don't hate the person. I feel sorry for them. I send them love. Because for them to get the effort to write me, to find my address, to anonymously write me a letter, not only are they scared and in fear, they're full of hate. Yeah. And that's not what I am. No. I just send them love.
Yeah. I always say that I won't match somebody else's frequency. If somebody else is emitting a frequency and it's unpleasant and it's wishing me harm and stuff like that, I'll move away or I'll move around. I will not match that frequency. I won't do it because that's giving somebody else the power to control my inner emotional state and I won't give that away to somebody else.
Exactly, yeah.
You know?
And that's power in itself.
Yeah.
That is like sacred masculinity.
Give us your Oscar Wilde quote again. Say it
again. Ridicule is the tribute paid by the mediocrities to the genius.
I love that. Yeah.
The amount of geniuses that existed that were ridiculed in their time.
All of them.
You know, yeah.
All of them.
Yeah, pretty much. So it's like, if I'm getting ridiculed, I'm doing something right. So
Jesus.
Please keep ridiculing me, people. Keep it coming.
Yeah. Jesus, crucify him. Galileo, lock him up.
Exactly.
You know, and
people still don't see it.
No.
He's an idiot. He's an idiot.
It's this simple though. In order to be a genius, you have this herd of sheep, the masses, and then a genius will stand out from the crowd and will have a genuine new idea or new thought, and everybody else is in the comfort zone and they don't like this. They don't. A lot of people don't want to know the truth, and somebody will have a new idea, and then this person will be ostracised, chastise, usually put in prison or killed. And then 100 years later, we look back and think, oh, he was right.
Yeah.
And that's happened all the way through history.
Yeah. That's why at the moment I'm happy to get crucified, killed, put in prison, whatever, because the first time in my life I actually feel like I'm doing something for the greater good.
Yeah.
Hopefully I won't, but who knows? I'm not bothered. I'm not attached to that.
I think it's part of your journey when you start to do what you do what you're doing, being yourself and experience joy and bliss and follow your heart and doing something really positive like you're doing now. You will always get people that don't like it. Somebody somewhere will have a problem with it, and whether it's because sometimes it's jealousy, that's an human emotion. Other times it's because other people want to do what you do and are frightened and whatever, and so because they can't achieve their goals, quite often what they'll do is try and bring you back down, and rather than elevate themselves, they bring you to their level. That's what they try and do. And I've realised now, there will always be somebody, when you're on your path, there will be somebody that doesn't like what you do. I've had some unpleasant messages, and the first time it bothers you, the second time not so much, and after that, it's few and far between, but I don't let it bother me now. I get quite good at just going, well,
force field.
That's a shame. It's not somebody asking for help. This is when somebody's being quite unpleasant.
Yeah.
But there we go.
Yeah, but I think like when you're talking about before the violence and stuff, like for me, even just like Tyson Fury has been openly talking about his mental health issues, which is so beautiful. I think he's such an inspiring character. The journey that he's been on and his story is like, but in that world, you know what I mean? That super strong, toxic masculinity. A lot of people who follow that world, fighting, he's harder than him, who cares? Two boxers coming together, we do, we want that. They've both committed to that. It's not like he's beating him up and he doesn't know he's being abusive towards him, you know what I mean? They've both bought into it. And, you get some yoga teachers, it's toxic masculinity boxing. It's like the Bhagavad Gita is about war, right?
That's right.
So
I have that.
What would imagine if Tyson Fury wasn't a boxer? Boxing wasn't allowed. He wouldn't be fulfilling his genius. He wouldn't be living his life. He wouldn't be succeeding. You know what I mean? No. There's certain things people are born to do,
and nobody be listening to what he has to say now either.
Exactly.
And he's got a good message. Yeah. So,
exactly. It's like talk about your mental health. Most of us are going through. Most blokes, especially, are going through mental health problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this as well. The reason why male suicides are so high, especially in young men, is the condition not to express their emotion. Don't be so soft, son. Stiff upper lip and all this. And if you keep suppressing that emotion, it's going to come out in some way, and it usually comes out in young men in anger, and that's why they're so easily enlisted and dragged into the army, because they convinced that, given a false sense of national pride and that, they're doing it to protect the families and all this, when really they're being lied to. And half the stuff that they're being told isn't true. And we're actually the ones doing the pillaging and the raping, going in and taking oil and the natural resources of the country. You can see I can get on about this, so I'm not going to.
So can I, bro.
Yeah. What I want to talk about now is, believe it or not, we've arrived. Yoga-Raves.
Yoga-Raves.
So we're doing Yoga-Raves. Now, what I think's brilliant, and we talked about it in the last show, about not taking yourself too serious as well, being able to laugh at yourself. And there's a couple of pictures, and maybe you don't see the funny side, I'm assuming you do, but you've got multicoloured leggings on, you're jumping up and you're spinning around, and I just think it's awesome. Yeah.
Thank you. I probably wouldn't have been able to do it in my 20s, to be honest. I would have been too self-conscious. But I think I just started doing yoga, and I was like, shorts and stuff, it was nothing for boys to wear, so I just started wearing my friends' leggings.
Yeah.
I just started wearing leggings for yoga, and then I've always wore leggings for yoga now. Girls' leggings. I wear girls' leggings for yoga. I've cross-dressed for years. I've wore women's clothes for years. People don't notice, don't look at me and go, he's a cross-dresser. And I don't feel like I'm a cross-dresser, but I wear girls' clothes if I like them, if they suit me, or if I feel like they bring me joy. Do you know what I mean?
We used to go clubbing, go back to my house, and I have quite a few dresses. We'd all put dresses on, filled up.
I've been at parties like that.
Yeah, it's funny. And I'd have people come to the door, doormen coming to the door saying, "Can I come in? We'll come and party." And I went, "No, if you don't put a dress on, mate." And he went, "What do you mean?" I said, "If you put a dress on, you're not coming in." And I'd make them put a dress on. It was brilliant.
That's what I mean, when people's hearts are open. Wouldn't have done that when he first started the night.
No. But Yoga-Rave, now I've seen on YouTube you've got some promo videos and things like this. You've got a DJ.
Yeah, live DJ, yeah.
Yeah. Who does that?
It depends who we're working with. Like, we've got 2 DJs that I work with. One's called Patricia. She's an ecstatic kind of 5 rhythms-esque DJ. And a girl called Ray, who the same kind of background. I work with them too. I used to work with a DJ called Shah. And we'll work with whatever DJs like.
I'll ask you a couple of questions. Other people might be thinking this. How does it work? You go in, you start your class maybe doing your yoga stretches as normal, your yoga poses and things like this. And then you have the rave at the end, or you start with the rave?
No. So it's all interspersed within the experience. So we rock up. It's an event. You rock up, sit down, you socialise, you make connections with other yogis, other people. You have chats. We serve cacao at the raves, so it's a heart-opening medicine. So everybody's like, sometimes we'll have like little cacao beans as pills, you know what I mean, whatever. And there's a little bit of music on. I'll do a bit of shamanic drumming at the start, or I'll do some poetry, and then I'll do an intro. It's kind of like almost like a stand-up. I'll speak about some sort of philosophical Indian story, and then I'll bring it into whatever's going on with my life or what's going on in the world at the moment. Yeah. All light-hearted. And I'm just trying to empower people and build them up, build this energy up in the space. Then we do something called a chakra dance, which is a choreographed. Well, it's not choreographed. It's a specific piece of music that moves through the 7 chakras. Right. So grounding, sexy, warrior, heart-opening, blissful, loud, shouty, Ajna chakra, controlling your mind, meditation, being peaceful, opening up to the divine nature of yourself and the divine nature of the universe. So we build the chakras. That's powerful in itself. Then we'll sing mantra like Gati Gati Paragati Parasangati Bodhisvaha. That's the Yoga-Rave mantra. It's like let go. Yeah. Please let go. For fuck's sake, let go. Why are you holding on to that shit? You don't need it. Yeah. Bodhisvaha is your divine self, your most beautiful self. Wake up to it. Svaha is amen. Nice one. Thank you. And then we start with sun salutations. So your normal yoga class. Yeah. But banging tunes come on straight away. So it's like acid house, techno, garage, drum and bass, whatever it is. Boom, through the session, through a dynamic yoga practice. It's full on. It's hardcore. Yeah. It's challenging. And then we break. Well, we don't break. There's no break. We drop 2 banging, heavy-duty tunes, and people dance to them on the mat or whatever. Yeah. Boom, we're raving. 2 tunes. Bump back into the practice, dance music again, boom. We break 2 tunes, we rave, drop it down.
And how long is this rave?
About 2.5 hours.
All right, so it's long then, yeah.
Well,
standard yoga classes.
People turn up for 4 hours. It's an event. Right. People turn up like you're getting your money's worth. It's not. It's you go to a class for an hour. It's a tenner. You're there for 4 hours. It's 25 quid. It's like, and you're getting a live DJ.
It sounds awesome.
It's incredible. Yeah. It's like, as soon as I did it, I was just like, this is what, it was just a moment. I'm like, this is my thing. This is what this is, my energy is aligned with this. Yeah. This has been waiting for me. Do you know what I mean? And people have been doing it in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. But nobody can do a Liam Browne Yoga-Rave. No. It's not possible. That's not saying mine's any better or worse.
Well, they won't know where to find the leggings that you... Exactly, where are they going to get those?
Lucy Lockett Loves is the leggings place that we get. They beautifully gave us the leggings.
Liam, if somebody wants to come and do a cacao ceremony with you, or if somebody wants to do a Yoga-Rave... Yeah. First of all, maybe tell us your website and how they get in touch with you.
www.liambrowne.com. Brown's got an E on the end.
Brown with an E.
Brown with an E. I was sick of telling police people that when I was younger. With an E.
Well, that's ironic as well, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
Liam Browne with an E.
Always.
We know him. Always.
Brilliant.
Have you said that before?
I've not said that before. Liam Browne with an E. Always. Back in the day.
Great response, that. So, Liam Browne with an E is the website. Now, I've seen your website. It's a good website. And it's got lots of information on there. lots of different categories. It's all broken down. And if somebody wants to do something, they go there, and that's where they get...
just go on to like the events. What we've got coming up are all on there. So we've just had a yoga rave. Cacao ceremonies are pretty regular. I've been doing them every couple of weeks. In my bell tent at my house. Been amazing. Like the healing, and like it's a really beautiful kind of tonic to the yoga rave. It's very calm, it's shamanic, there's no rave music. It might be some like heavy drumming, but it's for your own inner work. The cacao ceremony is very, very like there to do work, to create, to get rid of barriers and blockages around your heart so you can live a life full of more fun and laughter, like to enjoy every minute of whatever you're doing.
See, I've had cacao, but I've not done a cacao ceremony. I've done, Cambo, mimosa, wachuma, ayahuasca, and all these other things. But I've not done the cacao ceremony. And at first, because I was told what it was, I'd made assumptions about it, because I've got friends that do the cacao ceremony. Even, believe it or not, I've got quite a few friends that do it, and I've still never done it, the ceremony. But then the more I read about it, sometimes the subtle experiences can be the most powerful and beautiful as well, although ayahuasca is traumatic and a lot of healing occurs, and cacao might be subtle, I'm learning with age, I think, that subtle experiences can be also transformative.
Totally, yeah. And it's just an easier, nurturing medicine. Like the best analogy is basically that, like, your ayahuasca, your San Pedro, your Iboga, these really strong psychedelic experiences that they take you to this door of perception, and they just fucking take you through. Bosh, you're coming on a journey. Boom, you've got not really got that much control over where you're being taken. Like, you're gone. You've consumed. Bosh, through the door.
You
bosh,
leave
gone.
this realm for a while.
Yeah. Whereas cacao is like, come on, like this way. Here's the door. Opening the door for you. Now your turn to go and do your journey. Go and do your own work. Cacao is just a gentle guide, and you can go. I've seen people go as deep as those other places with cacao, but only if they take themselves there. If they've got that ability,
so there's some
that
level
wisdom.
of choice there. Perhaps,
Yeah.
Ayahuasca, like you say, ibogaine. These just, you leave this realm. There's a lot of drugs we have.
DMT, same thing.
The thing with DMT is it takes you up and down, throws you up and throws you down, rather than gently up and gently down. People think that ayahuasca is over 8 hours or 6 hours, whichever. Yeah. And so they're like more fear involved, because it's a long period, and time, there's no concept of time when you're there, and if you're in hell, you're there forever. Yeah. Whereas with DMT, you think, well, the last 10 minutes, what's the problem? But you've no concept of time. So those 10 minutes, if you're in hell, it's the same difference.
I feel like I've been there for 1,000 years when I've been on a DMT trip, and the integration back has been worse than anything I've ever experienced on ayahuasca. Yeah. But empowering at the same time, because when you've been chopped up, thrown in the universe, disconnected from reality, you've got no way of ever coming back. When you come back to Earth, you're like, oh yeah, bus is late, so what?
You've no idea where I've just been. Absolutely. Yeah, it does. It changes your perception, doesn't it? It makes you realise that a lot of the things you experience in your day ain't really that big of a problem. Just
to talk about the Yoga-Rave again, because for me, it's just like such a phenomenal event and experience, and we're breaking it into the music industry with it now. We got booked on a couple of festivals for this year that got cancelled.
Yeah.
But we're gonna be like the event, the daytime event at music festivals, because we're still music, but we're wellness as well. But we're full power. Like it's attractive. It's not just a yoga class, a calming yoga class. It's full power. So we're kind of bridging that gap between the two. But when I started it, I thought it was just going to be a piece of entertainment. It's yoga-tainment, you know what I mean? But it's something deeper. I'm making people commit to positive change. People are feeling amazing for a week afterwards, coming to me, what else can I do? And I'm guiding them to other things, you know what I mean? People think they're coming to you, you're lifting them up and you're just letting them go on their own. And it's like, yeah. You don't know that. You don't know what I'm doing afterwards. I had an email the other day telling me that Yoga-Rave was against all yogic principles. And I was like, well, you've been to a Yoga-Rave? Do you know what goes on? Or just the words? Okay, what if I called it dog shit yoga? Do you know what I mean? But it was just like and the most beautiful yoga class ever. Like, you don't know what the name is representing.
I think what you said, which is about bridging this gap, is quite interesting, is a lot of spiritual practices, you slow down and you go inwards and you have inner peace and you go on a journey, whichever. Or you've got, you're doing, I don't know, body pump or something like this, and it's a very outward and you exert yourself. But there's very few spiritual practices, or far less, there are some, where you exert yourself, where you, and it's different. It's unusual.
Yeah, and people are just absolutely adoring it, and I love it. I love teaching it. I love the energy we create in the space. And anyone who sort of has a go at it, yoga's all about unity consciousness, allowing people to do whatever they want to do. And people are telling me it's what's the word, cultural reappropriation, whatever that word is. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, what shall I tell everybody in the world to stop playing cricket and football? You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, no, yoga is to spread. Actually, yoga's roots was for Brahmins, which are the elites in India. It wasn't for anyone else. So, like, don't get tied up with what other people are doing. Just do your thing.
It doesn't have to fit into a box.
Stop dissing. Like, I don't like goat yoga. I don't get it. I've never done it. Probably don't want to do it. But I'm not going to say, don't do goat yoga. You know what I mean? It's not real yoga. I don't know.
Yeah.
Never experienced it. Maybe you have a beautiful spiritual connection with a goat. I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it looks good. You have a goat on your back while you're doing yoga. It looks brilliant.
I like having it. Massage. Sometimes my friend gets on my back when I'm doing yoga, and it's cool. You know what I mean? I have a little 4-year-old on my back, and I'm doing. That's a bit of weight. It's fun.
I know myself from running, was predominantly meditation was always my go-to. Now, for me, on a Saturday especially, if I can, I put my running gear on, I disappear in the hills for a few hours. I go for a big long run on the trails. And that's exerting myself. And once I'm about an hour into any endurance sport, and it becomes meditative, and I end up focusing on my breathing. So exerting yourself can be very spiritual.
Totally, yeah.
And with anything, when you exert yourself, you end up, your attention eventually comes back inwards to the breath.
Yeah, because that's what we always do. We do the raving, and then we bring it back. Boom, we have stillness. Yeah. We have the 109th bead on the mala. Do you know what I mean? It's like we give gratitude. We feel how the body's feeling. We feel the breath. We feel how beautiful everything feels around us. We take joy, and mainly we just feel gratitude for that moment, for the artist who's played the music, for the space that we're in, for the DJ. But we feel gratitude, so we always bring it back. So that's what people love. It's not just bye. It's like boom, boom, every time, and that just gives people a sense of enrichment.
It's almost like the breath, that expand.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Expanding and contracting like that. This beautiful rhythm of life. Yeah. Oh, I'm all over it. I'm feeling it, definitely.
You have to come, man. You'll love it.
Yeah.
We need more brothers. I don't have as many men at me stuff as I'd like to. No. Kind of what, because yoga's very feminine dominated.
Most classes, I've done hot yoga as well, and predominantly it's women. There's usually the odd bloke, but predominantly it's women.
Yeah. It was just me when I first started. Just me and women. It was like,
in your tights. Wrapping at the start of the class and pouring chocolate down your neck.
Love it.
Good. Liam, are you on social media? So what are you on?
Yeah, so Instagram is Liam Browne Love. Facebook, Liam Browne Love. The website's liambrowne.com.
Yeah.
And
YouTube?
Don't know what else we're on. We're on YouTube. Yeah, I think that's Liam Browne Love as well.
Right.
I'm not as up on the YouTube as I'd like to be.
So if anybody searches Liam Browne with an E or Liam Browne with an E with love on the end, on most social media platforms, they'll find you.
They'll get us on, Facebook. Yeah. Instagram, definitely.
And your book's on Amazon.
Books on Amazon, yeah.
And there'll be a link for that on your website as well?
Yeah, there's links to that in the website, or just type in Dealer to Healer on Amazon, you'll find it, or type in my name. I've got another little book called Hitchhiking, and I've got another little book coming out soon about ayahuasca, and another book coming out hopefully before Christmas, which is a book of poetry and songs. That's called Dealer Forget, Healer Remember.
Right. The mixture of the two titles you were going to have, Forget and Remember, and Dealer. You're going to be a prolific author.
Who knows?
Yeah,
I haven't got anything else planned in the pipeline, so probably years in the future. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, I wrote the second book, which is Moving Forward, Learning How to Glide, which is elevating yourself and propelling yourself forward using surrounding energies with zero resistance, with zero effort, in harmony with natural law. And that book has been written shortly after the first book 2 years ago, and I've still not published it yet. So I have so many passions and projects that I start doing something and then I get distracted and I'm on something else then. And that'll happen when it's ready.
The time's right,
Yeah. But it's almost there.
And it's there, you've done the main body of the work, so it's just waiting.
Liam, it's been an absolute, and I'll swear, a fucking pleasure to have you on the show. Really has. I'm so glad you came. Really enjoyed doing the interview with you. You made me laugh a lot. I found loads of synchronicities and alignments in our journeys and similarities. And yeah, I think we're going to be mates.
Thank you, brother. I've really enjoyed it, and you're an amazing host, interviewer.
Thank you.
I've loved the day and hanging out with you. Thank you very much.
So thanks for watching, everybody. And I'm going to leave the show tonight with a quote from a book, From Pills to Peace. You can start in the sewers and finish in the stars. And just by taking a look at Liam's life or my life, for example, no matter how bad you think things are, you can always start today by making some good decisions and moving forward and moving towards the light, experiencing joy and bliss on a daily basis. This has been Midnight McBride, and I'll see you the same time next week. You can catch me on the radio every Monday night for the Mind, Body and Spirit show, or midnight till midnight, and that's on Salford City Radio, 94.4 FM. You can buy the first book, From Pills to Peace, on Amazon, and it's also available in Kindle format and the audio book, which is on iTunes and audible.com and ACX, amongst others. You can get me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn. You can go to my website, midnightmcbride.com, and you can also watch this show every week on YouTube, and it automatically comes out 3 days later on Spotify, Podbean, iTunes, etc. as an audio podcast. Shalom.
Out I'm looking, some of you look straight through me like I'm nothing, but I just keep on smiling. Know you're coming here to find me. Yeah, I'm not running away no more, so I'll stand here until you open your door. I keep waiting for you to take me away. You'll be with me soon, I can feel it, I say. So won't you please let me ride with you, take me towards the place that I'm going to. I know you're going that way, you have to be. So please, please, please let me ride with you. Midday sun is coming, I'll take off my coat, I'm still thumbing from a different post. I know you're coming, but you won't be like you were before. Time is running by door, I touch my toes, but you still ignore, bend over backwards. I can hear your roar, I keep smiling. I know you're on your way. Soon I can feel it, I say. So won't you please Sometimes you're quick, sometimes I feel left behind. You try to trick me, you're immature, that's fine. I'll say my mantra over and over in my mind. It keeps me calm, it means that you are on your way. You'll be with me soon, I can feel it, I say. Till you come for me, I'm in no rush, I got no place to be. I don't know the time, only where I've been. I feel you coming, so can you feel it too? So won't you please let me ride with you? Take me towards the place that I'm going to. I know you're going that way, you have to be. So please, please, please let me ride with you. Yeah, I put my thumb back in my jeans. You got me here, you're all I need. I like the kindness shown by you, so many wouldn't stop, but you pulled right up and took me on my way. I'd like to thank you for making it such a beautiful day. So won't you please let me ride with you? Take me towards the place that I'm going to. I know you're going that way, you have to be. So please, please, please let me ride with you. Won't you please let me ride with you? Take me towards the place that I'm going to. I know you're going that way, you have to be. So please, please, please let me ride with you. Please, please, let me ride with you. Please, 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 let me ride with